The state's top economic authority is siding with state lawmakers, questioning whether the governor has the power to unilaterally allocate federal COVID-19 relief money. New Mexico Treasurer Tim Eichenberg says the state's constitution requires input from the legislature. On the other hand, the governor's office is pointing to past legal precedent it says supports Governor Lujan Grisham's approach so far. A bipartisan lawsuit is pending in the state Supreme Court. While we wait for progress there, let's turn to our line opinion panel for their take. Now, as someone who's been in these sorts of power struggles before, Serge, is there any way to get this cleared up before the court makes a decision?
They're having arguments in a few weeks on this. I think that's not enough time for folks to reach any sort of agreement. It would require the sort of thing that New Mexico is not great at, getting everybody to sit down and talk about this and figure something out. So I'm not super optimistic that this gets resolved anywhere but at the Supreme Court, which is, the exact worst place to resolve these, to have these sorts of things decided in the courts and not with the people involved. But, I think the legal arguments, I'm a little bit familiar with them on both sides, and I can't say which way the court is going to come down on this. But I am, as I see this, right, some of this is a function of, or to me reflects the issue that we have in New Mexico. Our legislature doesn't meet hardly ever, and it's always this huge lift to get everyone together to figure these things out. So there's, whatever the constitutional answer is, there's also the practical question of how this money gets allocated and spent. And New Mexico is just poorly designed for something like this, a big chunk of money that needs to get out quickly and should be getting out quickly, and how it's to be done.
Right.
We've shot ourselves in the foot a little bit with our legislative structure here.
Interesting point. Senator, we all know in the legislature holds the purse strings in government. Does a public health emergency trump that? Or would the governor have been better served to just bring lawmakers in on the discussion from the get-go? Was that the better way to go?
I think both of your statements are true. The governor would have been better off by bringing the legislators in from the very beginning, starting with this in January or even before, to talk about what are the major crises that need to be addressed during this public health emergency. Bill Richardson did something like that when ARA funding or Recovery Act funding was available. He actually appointed a commission and went around the state and got a lot more public input into it than this governor has. And vetted a lot of the stuff with the chair of that committee and the legislature. But yes, I do think that a public health emergency trumps the power of the legislature to be appropriating federal funds, which I think is questionable anyway on legal grounds. But she has been successful in getting money out the door quickly. Just yesterday, we read about the money that New Mexico and Albuquerque met the federal deadline for housing funds.
Right.
Today, there was another article about how money is going out the door for child care. I think consultation does slow down that process, and we are in a public health emergency.
Dan, speaking of which, the governor has extended the indoor mask mandate into at least November 12th. And the state, has moved back into a crisis standard of care model we've talked about a lot in the show to help make them, to help make difficult decisions about healthcare. As the entire system is pushed to the brink, we haven't had those since December of last year, these things they're talking about. So are these prudent moves by the governor on her part, in your opinion?
Yeah, I mean, the governor's going to do what the governor does. I think that it's, I'm not necessarily on board with a lot of the decisions on the whole pandemic deal. I think what people are getting upset with is there is as much of a frustration about our lack of healthcare workers as there is filling the beds. And I think that what people are starting to see is it's not that beds are full or hospitals are full. It's that the amount of beds that are eligible for the percentage of workers that are there are full. And I think that's the frustrating part for people. So, the interesting part, back to what you were asking Dee Dee and Serge, Gene, is, the consultative part. It's interesting to see that a Democrat governor with a Democrat-controlled legislature they weren't capable to come up with a plan to do this. And get, and figure out a way to do this. Normally, it's a Republican governor, Democrat legislature at odds at what they're going to do, and that's where the fighting starts. But to answer your question, and I know Serge would never say this, he won't even laugh because he's a great lawyer and very well respected. I can tell you how the Supreme Court's going to decide this. They're going to look at the people that are angry, and they're going to say who's going to be around longer deciding our funding, and that's going to be the side that actually wins. So I think it's going to be another victory for the legislature, because they're going to look around and go, well, Governor, max 4 years. Some of these guys that are complaining going to be here 10, 15 more years. We're going to side with those guys.
Interesting. You know how this game works. Interesting. Hey, Serge, Interim Health Secretary Scrace this week expressed his ongoing concern about the burden on our healthcare systems and especially workers we just talked about with Dan. Are you worried about the long-lasting impacts of this pandemic as this crisis lingers on and on New Mexico?
I mean, of course I am, right? This is unbelievable how long this has gone on, right? I know the governor has extended her emergency order 22 times, as I understand it, because we all keep thinking, oh, just any minute now this is going to end. But there's no way this doesn't have a huge long-term effect and doesn't cause everybody to revisit what their job is, what they want to do, how they want to live their lives and where they want to spend their time, and the uncertainty of all this only heightens that, which, that's not necessarily a bad thing that people are rethinking what's going on in their lives. But this is obviously going to be the defining event for so many things, but especially, our health system, as we look back and think, what are all the ways this went wrong? How could we possibly deal with something going on in the future? And the individuals who are going to be involved and what we expect from them. So I'm glad people are thinking about this now. Obviously, it's distressing that it's taken this extended public health crisis to bring us to this point.
If you go to the state health department website and look at the number of beds that are available in New Mexico, and then look at the numbers of people that are filling them with COVID, there is a huge discrepancy between the number of beds that they say physically are available versus the number of people. The problem is the healthcare worker. And I think what's interesting is that as I'm sitting here talking to you guys from my office, I'm looking at this great expansion that Presbyterian is doing right down the street, UNMH is doing. There's unbelievable building going on in this state for hospitals, especially in the metro area. And yet we can't find people to work in them, and no one seems to want to address that problem. I think it's the old, adage from the movie, if you build it, they will come. I think the plan is if you build this space, people are going to come work here, but I'm not sure we're going to get the healthcare workers to fill the spaces so the patients can get the care they need.
Last word there. That's all for The Line this week. We thank you all for your thoughtful comments, as always. And be sure to keep up with the show each week on our Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, or YouTube channels.